It's basically the same.
It's a very similar vibe.
It was curling up and making higher lows the same way, you know?
Well, on STRBTC, it even looked better because it, this is basically what it looks like, you know?
Yeah, brutal. That was the worst one. I remember we talked about that a ton.
Because I got chopped up here too, because I went long, because this looked good, you know?
Yeah. That was nasty.
It wasn't just the fake out. It was like a legitimate breakout. I made monthly higher highs and still got trashed.
Yeah, that's gross.
There's some old notes about Wyckoff on here. This broke out too, but didn't go anywhere. I'm still holding Stellar, by the way.
What?
I'm not afraid. Not afraid to say it. Not from 2017.
Yeah, I bought it like when you did all this.
I bought it at 33, I think 32 or 33 in like August. So it's, or somewhere in here.
You and I could not be more different.
I know. It's because it was on Kraken. So like, yeah, sure, Stellar. Why not?
Hilarious. Oh,
I think the project is junk, but like it looked good at the time because again, it had this Adam and Eve setup, right? Like I'm just a technical sort of guy. Adam and Eve, it's got ascending triangle, breaks down. Doesn't matter.
Let's see here. You got to look at Adam. Oop, there it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. Adam and what's the other one? Matic. Both are kind of sitting at all-time highs. Curve, same thing. Curve's down a little bit. But still looks fine compared to a lot of this other stuff. Maker at risk of just into the Ganges. Absolute ready to fall off the table.
I think if Adam breaks up from here, it's got like 60 easy, and then the measured move is 70. Run the fibs is 130.
Matt for Adam?
Yeah. The full run the fibs, like parabolic mayhem is 133. Measured move 70. And the like easy mode is 60, 1.618. Yes, sir. 133. You heard it here. If we do the full run the fibs.
133 by July. Let's go. Oh, Adam.
All right.
I feel like I should know more about that, but I don't remember enough about that.
It's a promising layer one technically, but price wise, it's been held back by emissions and other crap. All right, let's run it because I got a meeting in
go
soon.
for it.
Okay.
We're on your time now.
I know, man. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to LedgerCast. My name's Brian Krogsgaard here with Josh Olswich. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Excellent. Great to be here with you. Hey, by the way, I should make a note. If y'all have not already reserved your Flip username, you should do it. Go to flip.xyz right now. Reserve your username. It's really easy. Takes no time at all. You will appreciate it because this is going to be your hub for all things NFT. It's the smart way to do NFTs. It's my business. Chilling my own bags here. Thanks, Josh, for enabling me. Flip.xyz. Go sign up right now. Josh, what are you looking at? Some disgusting stuff on Maker.
We were talking about Maker beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We were talking about a few things, mainly technicals. Okay, let's be real here. Yeah. Not all technicals work. Not all technicals play out as expected. Something like Maker has had just months. It's basically a year-long Head and Shoulders that's morphed into more and more versions of a Head and Shoulders. There was a Head and Shoulders here, it didn't break down. There's a Head and Shoulders again. Now here, that's looking terrible. Despite all of the good news that's happened as far as revenues for Maker over the past year, like stable it has not mattered.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Burns, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's why we're talking about Maker. But
Maker prequel. Let me show you something on BTC, and
yeah, we'll get to the real stuff.
Yeah, I tweeted this as the weekly was newer, and I said I pretend I do not see it, which was this weekly low, September 2021, that we are like perfectly retesting from the bottom, and I'm just going to pretend it's not a lower low. It's not a retest of any sort. We will be fine. We are not going to nuke to 30K. Please, sir, don't nuke. I'm feeling too confident. Are we going to nuke?
Well, I've really just been watching this chart because it hasn't really mattered what you think about BTC or ETH or inflation or any of that other stuff. CPI, rate hikes, tapering, macro, blah, blah, blah. All that matters is this correlation, right? And I realize I spelled Ethereum wrong and a spelling that no one's ever seen before.
Not even the meme Ethereum.
No. This correlation between the legacy markets and crypto needs to break in order for us to actually do something that matters, which looks like it's happening today, honestly, which is weird. This podcast is the bottom for BTC. Yeah, because they both look. ETH looks much better than BTC. ETH looks neutral still. Not much has changed over the past week, but ETH is threatening a death cross now. BTC is several days into its death cross, and I can drone on about all the other stuff that I say every podcast about Q1 and seasonality and whatever else. But yeah, we need to break this correlation first.
There was tons of fear about like tapering and CPI price.
Well, it's inevitable, right? They can't continue this policy the way they're doing it. They can't.
But Big J did say essentially that the low inflation rate or low interest rates are probably here to stay or something along those lines. And I think that was enough for the market to be satisfied that inflation may be high, but lowering rates too much is not a way that we have on the table to control that significantly. So I feel like crypto responded pretty well off that. I think Legacy did as well, at least for a minute. Legacy markets look pretty bad today, but they're not suggesting anything other than just continued consolidation. So it felt like a little breath of fresh air for crypto markets to me versus full on tapering. And then also tapering is just a reduction of quantitative easing. It's not a quantitative tightening. Tightening is going to be very difficult for them if they try that. But then when you get to the rate side of things, they're probably going to be pretty tempered with rate hikes because they literally can't afford to do more rate hikes. So all of that signals to me that there's probably not some just massive liquidity crunch ready to hit. It's more of a maybe it causes a lot of chop or whatever, or who knows what. But the inflation numbers are still relatively high, still bullish for crypto and assets in general, and or at least for Bitcoin. I don't know how it affects growth assets within crypto, but anyway, yeah, all that I found very interesting. Felt like there was a little bit of fresh air in the market.
Well, they're still trapped, right?
Yeah,
they're trapped in what they can do.
Exactly.
And the stimulus stuff only made that trap more secure, Like it hastened inflation, which hastens the need for an increasing rate policy, tapering of balance sheet, blah, 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 right? They can't. I don't know. I see so many people with so many things like Jamie Dimon and all this other, everyone's so fixated on what they're going to do when in reality, everyone knows what they need to do. Powell knows what he's probably going to do. They know what they're going to vote on, even though they say they don't. I'm just sick of hearing about it. Honestly, I could care less. I want us as crypto to not be a part of this, but I've said elsewhere that the same people that bid us up in crypto are some of the same people who are risking off because of Fed policies. So it only makes sense that we're correlated to such a high degree. But at some point, when is the beginning narratives for BTC going to kick in, like inflation hedge, chaos hedge, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
Because since 2020 March, we haven't had our own identity really.
So let's get our Bitcoin stance out of the way. You don't think it's like there's some impending nuke or anything like that? Doesn't seem like it to me. Of course, like this is just one weekly, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that can happen in a week, but I tend to think downside will probably get relatively absorbed because it's not matching the macro, if you will. Somebody in the chat says Keyboard Monkey saying a nuke incoming. I'm good friends with Keyboard Monkey. He always thinks a nuke is incoming. He's the most bearish bull that I know. And I think that it could be true. I just think it's like he said, in fact, his tweet said one last nuke. And I think that's true. Like it's the one that would people who bought over levered, that kind of thing. Maybe they get pushed out and then you can have a more true range move up. But as your chart shows, Josh, we are still in a range. Like and people showed up, bought some coins when it got cheap, and so we'll see what they do if we get another push down. But I tend to think I'm moving towards Don's camp of the range is the thing to trade for now. You know.
Yeah, this is the chart we talked about last week, I think, and this is the chart that's going to be the dominant chart for the year. As long as we're in the range, it's not like we're going to magically do something different until we're above or below the range, because this is where we've lived for a year. So it's unsurprising that we're just chopping around. There are levels within here. There are quartiles or whatever you want to think of them as that just happen to line up with psychological support resistance at 30, 40, 50, 60. Funny how that works. But we're leaning bearish based on two things for me: death cross plus this gross looking potential head and shoulders. And we may like mean revert dead cat to 49.50, but I don't think we're bullish until we're above 51 on a daily basis, at least. You know, like a wick, watch us wick to like 50, 55 or something, like 50.5. Get smacked down like we did at 52.5 here, and then just like continue this descent back to 42 or something. Yeah. So this setup for me, this isn't a long setup for me at all. I would need to see some sort of low time frame chart pattern or bull div. We don't even have a div starting on the daily yet. A lot of people were comparing like this stuff to this stuff.
It could be the beginning of that stuff.
Right. It's fine to compare it, and I agree it's very, very similar, but we had this div that not quite there yet. And it's only a couple months in. This was like 2-3 months anyway. So yeah, I'm not super bullish on BTC. If you want to do something with your money, it's probably not BTC right now in the near term. Not investment advice, but you know, if you're looking for volatility that's reliable in one direction, I don't think BTC is where you put it. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I do. I think we've seen pretty good strength in terms of people coming in and buying other stuff as well, and it's just less obvious for BTC. And if BTC is going to range, there's other things that won't range. There's other things that still look decent. We can get to ETH in a bit, but like I just had the curve chart up, for example. It's another one that's like making a higher low with a bullish kind of breakout retest. Maybe it's just another tease by Curve, which has been doing this for months. But, you know, that certainly looks much cleaner than Bitcoin does. Atom was another one that you and I were just talking about before we started the actual recording. Like basically at all-time highs. And then there's... there's others in that realm. I think AVAX is kind of, maybe, sort of, I don't know, testing the 20-week, but kind of at its range lows, but not signaling anything super bearish. There's some interesting charts out there.
Still, AVAX is it's up 10,000% VC capture problem. You know, like right. Eventually those people, including whoever's trading it, you, me, whoever, are exit liquidity for VCs.
I kind of like Secret in that regard. I don't own any Secret yet, but I've known this team for ages, and like the VC money and early investors in this, like they were all in from 2017 and like were wrecked for years. So I think this is actually kind of a clean batch of holders on Secret, and it's basically at price exploration and looks really freaking good. I've kept holding off. I should have bought this this retest of a few weeks ago, and I just forgot. It's doubled since then. Like, that's crazy. This is, that happens sometimes in log charts. Put this in linear, it looks ridiculous. But yeah, that's another example. Layer 1, I like this too because it's in the Cosmos ecosystem. Point being, while Bitcoin ranges, there are unique charts showing up in other places that are decorrelated, I guess, from like what you see in Bitcoin, or at least outside of like fast moves of Bitcoin, they're decorrelated, and that's where I'm seeking my exposure personally.
Yeah, and we typically see high correlations in bear markets or neutral activity markets, whereas we see decoupling bull market stuff in low correlations. So
yeah,
it makes sense that the stuff that's moving isn't correlated to BTC here. It isn't correlated to anything else, right? It's just doing its own thing.
The chat brought up Matic. I forget who it was in the chat. Federicos. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sorry.
I've liked Matic for months, not because of the project or anything, even though it is doing stuff and things but because of the technical setup here.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, it's a pretty vanilla looking head and shoulders ascending triangle. You're getting lower lows over and over. Wow, I'm butchering all of this. You're getting higher lows successively for months now.
My only problem with it is this coin was 2 cents a year ago.
Yeah, it does suffer that same issue that it's up.
Someone's in massive profit and you're not. So like, you're buying their 100x. What do you do? And the chart looks good. That I'm not disagreeing with that. Just that makes it hard for me to buy.
It's up 13,000%. Okay. We'll put that in a box off to the left. But it has ranged for a year. So hopefully anybody who was from down there has gotten distributed out right up here, right, or has distributed themselves out.
Yeah, theoretically, like most people, or not theoretically, realistically, most people weren't in that entire 100x, and those who were have now had a long time to either get in or get out or stay committed. So yeah, I agree with you. Another one.
The other thing,
go ahead.
Well, the other thing about this chart, yeah, it does have a potential head and shoulders up here, whatever. But the other thing that I like here is that it's very easy to see when this is invalidated. When it makes a lower low, you're out. That's it, right? Like, this might bounce on the 200. This might do a bunch of other stuff, but the bias and the certainty that this thing is going to break up diminishes significantly if this starts making lower lows. Then you just say, okay, next trade.
Yep.
That's why I like it.
Chainlink has been doing pretty well off.
God.
I know. On a weekly chart, though, it's been going up while other things been going down.
There's a time to card out. I'll let you do your thing. Sorry,
well, I was gonna say the team stopped selling coins apparently. So
not apparently. That is a fact.
Yeah. I still think this has a very clear place above about $33 to make a higher high on the weekly. So I would be looking for where could I actually get a breakout to be interested in longing it personally. But people have been pinging me about it and stuff, and I just wanted to highlight there is some relative strength on Link. It looks okay. It's not like impressing me on the dollar chart, but it looks okay, and it's fairly impressive on the relative chart. And you have the token sales of Link, and they've gone down.
Yeah, so that definitely helps. And what is it called? Like an A/B test? I don't know what the techie term for it is, but they were selling, price stalled. They're not selling, price is going up. It seems pretty real to me. I don't know.
I think that's just a correlation.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, people say this wasn't enough to influence price. I think that's pretty false, considering most of DeFi is pretty bearish right now. Yet Link found some bullish stuff. They did have that the classic old school staking is coming masternode type stuff which I thought was hilarious. Like we're back in that part of the cycle because they've been talking about staking for years. But if you look at their token supply, they still have 18% of the supply to be sold out. So yes, congrats for them. They stopped selling after making millions for the past year. Happy for them, but you know,
kind of you to only call it millions. It's like millions of millions.
Well, it could be like 3 billion. You know, I don't know the exact number, but it's ridiculous.
It's probably 8 figures, if not 9 total. All right, I want to keep running because we got to go pretty quickly today. I saw a lot of people getting excited about bearish retests for Doge.
Oh, gosh.
The 200-day perfectly rejected today off 21.5 cents or so. If I would have paid attention to that, I probably would have gone and shorted it and then ended up with a pair trade on my FTX account because I'm long something else there right now. Both the 20-week and 200-day, it was like a beautiful retest. Hate Doge, hate being a buyer of Doge in these levels. Doesn't interest me whatsoever. Frickin' dump it. That's all I got to say about it. What do you have to add?
No, I agree. I think it's untradeable. From here to wherever it ends up going,
I think I made a huge mistake not shorting it over the past 6 months.
The problem is you don't
obviously a top, you know.
Well, you don't know what Elon's going to say. So if you're in a short on leverage,
then you lose.
You could just be bulldozed for no reason, like logically, other than this guy's talking about it, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. And that's what happened. Apparently, he was bull posting in the past couple of days, and
well, he said that Tesla's accepting it for merch or something.
Oh yeah.
Who cares? Okay. so yeah, I wouldn't touch this thing till it's back below 100 or thereabouts. Trend wise, it's dead. It's bearish for sure.
What other coins have you looked at that you like?
That I've liked? Dixie? No, Dixie's not a coin, but I want to just talk about it for like 2 seconds. We talked about this leading up to the end of the year, like ad nauseum, but that level, it did get rejected and is dumping pretty hard off of that level from, what was it, 97-ish to now it's at 95. I like 93 in the future based on technicals, but it's better for crypto that this does not go to 100. Your feelings on the dollar strength or whatever. I'm just talking about technicals here specifically.
Yeah, I think it's going to range in that cloud for like 2 years. So that's great.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see strength. Anything other than strength is fine.
I feel like we deserve some credit for that being pretty clear resistance. So shout out to us. It was a little dicey there. It did play above the cloud, but those big flat clouds like that tend to take a couple efforts. So
usually yes, which is another reason why in 2018 I sold the top of the cloud on BTC. We can revisit that or whatever, but yeah, statistically, this thing, you don't typically get like explosions, just like as you did in 2018 here. Like this thing typically retests the cloud like that. But anyway,
I want to talk about Ethereum. All the trend stuff to me looks like probably this is a better place to risk off than risk on. I think this is part of Keyboard Monkey's point. That where I say keyboard lows sweeper, I think that's where he's interested in ETH, is sweeping those lows, which maybe is fine. This chart doesn't look great on a dollar basis, but I also fundamentally really like Ethereum right now. It's basically been deflationary even in its current state, even before the merge. If the merge existed now, Ethereum would be deflationary to the tune of like 12% a year. So there's a lot of freaking ETH burning right now. But as the chart shows, the weekly kinda sorta has a higher low, but you really need to see follow through here. And there's quite a lot of resistance around 33 to 3,500 that takes working through. I would like to see ETH over 3,600 to get like super duper bull. I'm just in a holding pattern here. I have decent pricing on ETH. I have a tolerable amount of exposure on ETH. And I'm looking to see kind of what's the next move that can I can get bullish over about 3,500.
Yeah, what worries me about ETH is that it's headed for death cross for the first time since May 2020. It's the longest period of bullishness for ETH ever. This is 620 days plus. If you go back to and look at these crosses, it's never lasted this long. So it's definitely, whatever the expression is for, ready to roll over. It's time to like let this thing not necessarily go back to 1600, but just chill out a little bit, right? So I would love it for this quarter to crisscross on the EMAs here and set up for a stronger Q2. Just let it chop, but not necessarily break lower lows. That way in Q2, we could potentially ramp up the 2.0 narrative or whatever it's going to take to get this thing to find some volume at highs around 44. But I don't, just like BTC, I don't see this thing as a strong trade to the long side right now. Another bullish thing though is it did have a multi-year low or whatever, multi-month low on RSI on the daily too, on January 8th. So it's a pretty mixed bag for me, honestly. It does have that cup and handle quality to it as well that it could break out of. Just too many paths on the decision tree just yet for me to call this one way or the other.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We got asked about Near. This is the weekly L1 du jour.
Near.
A Three Arrows Capital, whatever they're called. Three Arrows Capital led a fundraising round for Near. You know, people are going to want to repeat the AVAX story on Near. Go play the coins there, play the breakouts, buy the VC bags, play the hot potato game and enjoy it. I don't really know a better way to do it. What do you think?
I don't have a comment on that one right there. It looks like Luna, which looked like a rising wedge that didn't break down. Luna looked like a diamond top that didn't break down, but it looks very much like Luna to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what Luna looks like today, but Luna, despite being up like 4,000%, still going, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those that looks like it can keep going up for sure.
It's hard to fight that momentum, you know?
Yeah.
Like Luna still, it had this like rising channel and it's still kind of there.
It's crazy.
You know?
Yeah, it's got a lot of momentum, a lot of activity, charts going up only. I mean, if I was in it, I'd probably be holding it. If I'm out of it, I'm looking for a low time frame capitulation entry opportunity if I'm seeking that. And just looking at my chart here, that would be a daily down to maybe 15, 16, something like that. Get a push down off of the wedge thing, get some people scared, get some people taking profit, and then step in and buy the dip.
Are we buying dips on there?
No,
I don't know.
I'm not personally. I don't have bandwidth for it, though. It's my mental bandwidth. It's not my desire. It's the same reason, like...
It's like me hearing about fluffs, right? It's just not not in my bandwidth.
I will say the fluffs floor is 6.9.
Okay. I every time I think about bringing up NFTs, I'm like, I should bring it up, but I'm going to regret it. And I still bring it up, and I still regret it anyway. Yeah, Near... What's the fib on that? Like 30? Wow. 25 to 30 if it keeps going. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an opinion on this either. I don't know what it is. Can you, in the 5-second summary, explain to me what happened to the WTF fees thing this week?
It was a scam.
Okay, all right.
It's a very, very poorly done cash grab airdrop. Whether that's your definition of a scam or not, I don't know. But it was nothing special. It was just sad for an app that's always been so simple and useful to cash grab for like $1 million or whatever. I feel like they could have done better than $1 million with other stuff. Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to show on the Fluffs thing was the chart on the activity page. It's like going absolutely crazy. So, you know, there's that. Fluffs aren't alone. It's also just NFTs in general, but only.
Yeah, I saw.
It's like
unique
profile
edge
picture stuff. Unique addresses are up.
unique addresses interacting with OpenSea exceeded 1 million this week.
Nice.
Which is crazy.
It's a significant increase. We announced this week that we raised money for Flip. In our deck for that, we talked about how 600,000 or 700,000 people had interacted with OpenSea, and I didn't make that deck that long ago.
Well, the worry there for me, if I was getting involved in NFTs, is is this the beginning or the end? Is this the crescendo or the decrescendo of that sort of activity?
I mean, that's nothing in terms of the number of users that could interact or be interested in NFTs. I think
sure, but it's the same type of discussion when we're talking about something that's up 14,000% in a year.
No, I'm not talking about price. I'm talking about users.
Yeah, I know. I am too. I'm talking about users.
Yeah, I think I think it's one of those, you look at it and you're like, wow, that's crazy. And then a year from now, you look at it and you're like, wow, that was nothing. Because now we have 10 million people interacting with NFTs worldwide. There's billions of people, Josh. Everybody likes collecting stuff. NFTs are...
Let's rewind the tape. Well, hold on. Everyone likes gambling, okay? If they're collecting stuff as an ancillary thing.
They also like collecting stuff. I refuse to give in on that. I think... Well, I'm hyper bullish. My entire business is built on building infrastructure for NFTs, building an exceptional experience for people that want to look at NFTs. So I'm bullish, but what I think is going to happen is prices are going to go down on average by a lot, especially as more NFT trading occurs on layer 2s, alternative layer 1s, whatever. And the number of collections is going to skyrocket. The number of users is going to skyrocket. Etc. And you'll start to see some blue chips that stand out, but I don't think the a $50,000 profile picture is going to be the standard, right? There's going to be $20 profile pictures that artists make, and that's
people don't want a profile picture that's cheap. People want the Hummer, okay?
But there's also people don't want to. There's also going to be
people don't want to display their Honda Civic, Brian. Okay, they want to display their Lamborghini.
There's going to be all kinds of other stuff too. It's like profile pictures and art is just one little tiny thing. NFTs, there's so much more. There's so much more that, from a tech spec perspective, it is fascinating. I have a blog post going out about this real soon, so
can't wait to read it.
Flip.
I'm going to eat it up.
XYZ. Subscribe. You got to get your username and subscribe. Getting your username doesn't guarantee you're on our newsletter email list because we're trying to respect privacy. But anyway, subscribe.
Did you see the Wikipedia discussion about art and NFTs this week?
Yeah, well, that's because it's complicated. I don't want to get into it today. I only have a couple more minutes on this podcast. This is short. You're looking at Solana. You think it's over for Solana, or you think it's reaccumulation?
I think it's a mess. I don't have an opinion on it one way or the other, to be honest.
I'm long Solana from 142, so I would like the number to go up. I'll tell you why though. It was because it's that kind of double tap on the 200-day moving average, and if it was gonna bottom, that was where it was gonna bottom. So kind of like your Matic trade, it was a reasonable place to try from, and they got a nice little thrust, maybe a retest today. I kind of like it. I don't like that I'm paying to be long, but I think it looks reasonable. I think 160 to 180 is very reasonable. I doubt it's going to go straight to new highs or anything, but I don't think it's a terrible place. And even if I close my margin position, I might maintain the spot portion.
It's kind of got this expanding, broadening wedge vibe to it.
Yeah. Those
typically break up, I think, if I remember correctly from BBBY. I'm indifferent on this one or the other, honestly.
The BBBY one really was the perfect descending broadening wedge chart of all time.
Yeah, but that was also at the bottom of a trend, not at the top, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
take that with a grain of salt as far as.
It's not a pretty pattern. It's just a decent level. So
yeah.
Anyway, it's not a high conviction play for me. It's just one that I'm playing. So maybe that's the spot I should close it.
One other thing everyone was asking in the chat. Yes, I work for Valkyrie now, head of research. You'll be seeing lots more content from me and us about various crypto topics next week. So look for that.
Congratulations. A lot of news on this pod today. We're growing up.
I don't think that's new news, but people were asking about it.
We're growing up, Josh.
I guess so. Yeah, we are.
All right, that's my run through of charts. So why don't we just talk about what are you looking for next in the market? News or like what's the type of thing that would be a difference maker for you? Like change your mind about something? Yeah.
I think everyone's talking about Bitcoin mining right now, whether or not you want to hear about it. That's what the zeitgeist is thinking about, whether it be Kazakhstan miners or US miners or this crypto mining hearing coming up on the 20th. So there's going to be a lot of stuff for both sides, I think, coming out in the next couple of days regarding that. Bitcoin Policy Institute, I think is their name, just put out like an infographic about mining, sort of debunking some stuff, or attempting to anyway. So yeah, we're going to get bombarded with this stuff, I think, over the next couple of days.
JA asked in the chat if I could give a Curve Wars update. I don't really have an update. Curve War is still happening. There's a lot of bribing going on in Curve. It's still very profitable to just get yield off of the Curve ecosystem through Convex. That's what I'm doing. I hold Convex, I hold Curve. I'm getting yield on both. Tetranode talked a little bit more about it up only yesterday, but you have to listen to 2.5 hours to get that portion. I don't remember how long it is. I'm not smart enough to really understand every dynamic of the Curve War stuff, but people want to control governance of Curve, and that means owning Convex, which is interesting. My final note is, we went down 42% top to bottom on Bitcoin, and either that was a really fantastic entry and it's going to take time to climb the wall of worry and kind of deal with it and consolidate and then move up, or it's over. I don't know the answer. I lean towards just play it out, just see if it's a reaccumulation period. And it's primarily because the inflation narratives and the, what else do you want to own type of stuff, none of those attract me. So I'd rather take my bets on crypto. But I think I'm committed to being an active trader for another year. That's what I did last year. I think I'm going to do it again this year. I really wanted some long holds. I just don't think it's the time for long holds. I think it's the time for responsiveness. I want to preserve cash. I want to make up. My goal for profit is make up what I paid in taxes. I'm not setting high expectations. That's what I'm trying to do this year. And I think if I do low time frame trading, even though I owe new taxes, I think I have the chance to pay for last year's taxes in terms of my mental net worth. So that's my goal. That's what I'm looking at. And you have 20.
Yeah, we're down 40. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But we're down 40, but we could easily go to 30, which is another percentage from 40? I don't know. 10%, 20%, 15%,
25%.
So that would not surprise me. What also would not surprise me is if we're just in this range the entire year. So yeah, I agree. Be aggressive on certain things.
Yeah, aggressive, tight stops, responsive, whatever. Or if you've been a long-term holder, I don't think you stop being a long-term holder this year.
Yeah, I don't think anything changes for most people who have been in crypto for a long time. Last thing I just want to talk about this. I came on my radar this past week. This, I forget the company, they put together this data viz for predictions from articles, white papers, podcasts, interviews from last year. And it's funny how much of this is crypto related or touches crypto in some way, NFTs, metaverse, ESG, mining. So anyway, I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, I like that. I need to save this for later. All right. That's all I got, Josh. Thanks everybody for being here. We're going to skip the after show today because I have a meeting 6 minutes ago. It was a pleasure to be with you all. Go to flip.xyz, leisurestats.com. Check this stuff out. Subscribe to YouTube, yada yada. Follow Josh, Carpe Noctem.
Take care.
In the blink of an eye, the easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards.